syndicated and then to invest.
So, savings and investment and how the financial system works. There are a number of different kinds of financial institutions that exist in the United States. They have different functions. Some of the functions are similar or identical, and some have very different functions. There are 3 different kinds of saving. You'll need to know all 3 and the purposes for each. There is a difference between saving and investing. The two have to be put together somehow to serve their economic purpose. And how can government policies impact saving, investment, and the interest rate? Because the interest rate is very heavily tied up in everything we talk about in this chapter. So the financial system is all of the institutions that take the saving of individuals and match it with the investment needs of others. Financial markets are where savers give their money to investors directly, not through an institution. The money goes from the saver's pocket to the investor. The bond market would be an example of this. A bond, if any of you have savings bonds, folks or grandparents bought your savings bonds as you've grown, those are actually IOUs. It's a loan that the bond purchaser has made, basically. And then there's the stock market. That would be another pass-through situation where you take your money and give it directly to the company seeking investment. In exchange for that, you used to get a stock certificate. You don't anymore, it's pretty much all electronic. But that certificate would be a claim of partial ownership. You own a share in that company. That can be a very, 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 very tiny portion, or it can be a more significant portion. It all depends upon how many shares that company has issued. Financial intermediaries exist where you can give your money to investors indirectly. So you have the markets where your money goes straight to them. Then there are intermediaries, which are financial institutions where you can pass your money through, but not in a direct path. Banks do this. Mutual funds do this. With a mutual fund, you are mitigating your risk, but still participating in the stock market. The reason for doing this is that historically the stock market provides the greatest returns on your savings, greatest percentage of growth. However, to purchase stock in one individual company is a significant gamble as opposed to purchasing portions of stocks in a broad assortment of companies. Mutual funds can also include bonds, which are an even more secure form of saving. You guys were just about wee tots when the financial crisis occurred. What, you had to have been, I mean, you say 2nd or 3rd grade, somewhere in there? Yeah. So you may have been vaguely aware that something happened. It was a huge deal. Okay? It became a crisis in the United States that led to a global recession. And it was a deep recession.
Wasn't there a movie written on it?
About the financial crisis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there have
Like
been.
this guy's like predicted it.
Steve
made millions
Carell.
off of
There-
it.
You're talking about the Big Short. That was a contributing factor to this recession, but the recession was larger than just just the housing market and the securities associated with it. Excuse me. So this is a period of 2 years, basically, and the unemployment rates. The unemployment rate in the United States doubled in that 2-year period. That is very significant growth in unemployment. It is bad. France's was already high, it got higher. Britain's didn't rise to the same magnitude, but it increased. 3% is a lot of growth in unemployment. Canada mirrored them. Even Sweden, which has a fairly stable economy, mirrored them. That's not good. Those are leading global economies, and when they're in that kind of shape, imagine the poorer nations of the world, who rely on these wealthy nations to buy their exports. There was a huge decline in some asset prices. One of the largest assets that declined in price were houses. Houses are usually the largest, most valuable asset that individuals own. It is the primary source of most individuals' wealth. In that time span, housing prices fell 30%. How many of you have a job right now? For you guys, your job is the single largest source of your wealth. Let's imagine that you're earning $10 an hour at your job right now, and over the next 2 years, your wages fall to $7 an hour. This is akin to your $100,000 house now being worth only $70,000.
This was like used for the fire.
Well, here's what happens. You as a homeowner go to the bank and you sign a mortgage. Okay? Sign a mortgage. Let's say that you're going to buy a median priced home here in Papillion or La Vista. Median home price in Papillion or La Vista in 2007. Let's have you buy it before the crisis. 2000. Let's buy it when everything's looking dandy. You're going to buy it in 2005. Okay? You're going to buy that home for $130,000. Okay? You're going to put 10% down on the home, and that's a lot. By 2000, we're not going to do 10%. By 2005, the housing market is looking so good. Home prices have kept going up. Everybody is just all kinds of bullish on the market. So you get yourself into a mortgage where you put 5% down. What's 5%? $6,500. You put $6,500 down. Okay, so now how much do you owe? When you sign that mortgage, you sign it based upon an interest rate. There are two kinds of mortgages. Actually, there's a lot more kinds of mortgages, but we're going to go real basic. We're going to say you have a 30-year mortgage, which was the standard instrument at the time, and you have a choice between a fixed rate mortgage or what they call an ARM, an adjustable rate mortgage. Okay? If you want a fixed rate mortgage at this point, 2005, we're going to say it's at 5%. Okay? That's a 30-year fixed. But keeping this local for you guys, the problem is magnified on the coasts, where the median home price that a family might be living in would be $700,000, $800,000. We understand incomes are limited, things are tough, you've got kids, you got a family, you got a car payment. Let's get you into an ARM. Let's get you into an ARM. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put you in at 1.5%. Wow. Wow. Okay, that's huge. I'm going to put you in 1.5% for 5 years, or more common, 3 years, and then it'll jump up. Then it'll be 7% for the other 27 years. No, it's good, it's good, it's good. Because you just got out of college, your income is low now, but what's it gonna do? Oh yeah, sky's the limit. Newly married, 2 incomes, no kids, life is great. This is awesome. All right, which way are you going? Well, here's the deal. To figure out the payment, what they do is they amortize that interest over the life of the loan. You are not paying $130,000 for that house.
Unless you pay cash.
Unless you pay cash up front, yes. Then you're probably paying a lot less than $130,000.
I'll do that now.
You are paying 5% interest on the remaining balance every month. So, what is, somebody grab a calculator. Let's do this fast, okay? What is, we paid our $6,500 down, so our main debt owed is $123,500. What is 5% of that?
$6,175.
Okay. So, at the end of year 1, I am going to owe
$129,675.
Thank you. Okay. At the end of year 1, if I don't pay any principal off, right? So what they want you to do is they want you to pay your interest and pay down some of the principal. So when you make a mortgage payment, you pay what's called P&I, principal and interest. Okay? So divide 6175 by 12 for me.
514.58.
Okay. So I gotta pay at least that much a month. Okay. Plus I need to pay some of the principal down. So we're gonna say you're gonna pay $600 a month. P&I. But most people have what is called an escrow account. And into that they say, what's the cost of your homeowner's insurance every year? Because the mortgage company wants you to maintain homeowner's insurance. And they like to know that it's being maintained, so they want to pay it. So you have to pay for your homeowner's insurance. Anybody have a guess?
A lot.
Probably about $2,000 a year. Probably about $2,000 a year. So let's say $125 a month.
I'm living in
Okay. What else is owed on your house every year?
utilities.
Nope. That's months. Taxes, property taxes. Property taxes are paid twice a year in April and August in Nebraska. You pay them actually in arrears. So when you pay your taxes in 2018, when folks write the check in April or August, if they're writing a check, they don't have escrow, they're paying 2017 property taxes. Okay? Property tax levy, anybody have an idea? I don't know exactly what the levy is, but I can tell you that our house is valued at about $130,000 right now. We POFO, we're just teachers. Okay? And our taxes are about $2,800. So 2,800 out of 135,000. Sorry, we just got our property tax statement. 135,000, 2,800.
So it's like 2%.
Okay. So what is 2% over 130,000?
2,600.
Okay. So what is that a month? $200.
$216.67.
Add it up. So our principal and interest in escrow just became $1,040 a month. And out of that, we are paying down our actual debt basis by $85 a month.
So wouldn't it be cheaper in the long run to pay more right away?
Yeah.
By far! By far! But here's the thing. We know that Americans are debt-ridden. And this 5% that we're paying fixed is a whole lot less than the 18 or 22% that we're paying on our credit card loans, or the 10% that we're paying on our auto loans. So this is good debt. We actually get to deduct the home mortgage interest. We get to deduct this amount off of our taxes every year. That's a good thing. By the way, that's going away for a lot of people under the new tax plan. That's not deductible. Okay? So people are going to pay down the credit debt first, theoretically, and let this good debt stay. Home mortgage debt and student loan debt considered to be good debt, generally.
So when you sell your house, do you just use the money that you sold the house to pay like all of it off at once, or can you do that? Or like you have to keep paying in that for the year?
When you sell your house, I'm going to answer that question in a minute because it's a big part of this crisis.
Okay.
Hold that question. He asked, when you sell your house, what happens to that money? The bank is going to get paid, is the bottom line. The bank gets paid. And then if you're smart, you buy another house because you have capital gains in that house. The difference in what you bought it for and what you sell it for gets taxed at a different rate than your income. And that capital gains tax goes away if you reinvest it. Yeah. Okay. So $1,040 is what our payment is going to be on our 5-year fixed rate mortgage. That's a lot of money, right? Take what you're earning right now and figure out if you worked 160 hours a month, which would be 40 hours a week times 4 weeks. Okay? Figure out what you would make a month.
What's that?
And know that that is your gross income at your current rate. 160. No, not times 12 months. I just want to know your monthly gross income if you were working full time.
So 160
Gross without taxes.
160.
160 times your current income.
I got it.
Alright, so LaFawn, what do you make an hour? Times 160 is?
$9 an hour times 14.
Oh, that is not,
Okay, I got it.
1,440.
Sorry.
1,440. So after taxes, assume at your age and pay, assume 20% taxes. So take that number times 0.8. Let's figure out what you keep, what's your net income.
I keep it.
Yes, 0.08. Well, no, you keep 8%.
Oh.
Oh, my money goes
Eight.
to stupid house.
1,100.
Okay, keep $1,150 a month. Could you buy this house? No, because you'd have $110 a month to pay the utilities, your maintenance, your food, your gas, everything. Okay, all right, so that's all right, says the banker. That's all right. I can work with you. That stretches your budget too thin. Let's figure this out. Let's get you into an ARM. What is 1.5% interest on 123.5? It's got to be less than this.
Maybe like 1.5%.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 500 times 0.015.
1,052. 1,800. I think our first number was 1,000.
Okay, that's your annual interest at 1.5%. That's awesome.
Oh,
Divided by 12.
154, not 33.
What?
154, 33.
Okay. This is awesome.
So like
Now, for $200 a month, I can get you into that house. Now these figures, the insurance and taxes aren't going to change. So for $541 a month, I can get you into that house. Now, Ms. LaFont, can you afford that house? Hell yeah!
You only have $500.
Yes, I can!
This doesn't sound.
But what about after 3 years?
But yeah,
Yeah.
People aren't thinking about that. And
We
if
are,
they
though.
do, what does the banker say? Home prices have been rising. So all we have to do is refinance your home in 3 years before the interest rate jumps up.
That's the
Okay, so Lauren buys that home. Lauren buys that home. At our $200 a month P&I, what's the difference between 200 and the interest each month?
roughly like $50.
Do the math. Do the math.
46.
Do the math. Do the math on a calculator.
4567.
Yeah.
4567. Multiply that by 36.
1644 and 12 cents.
What?
1644, like $1,644, 12 cents.
Okay, so at the end of the 3 years, subtract this number from the original principal. Oh, okay.
Wait, that's how much you paid off in 3 years? That's it?
See, it's 121,855 and 88 cents.
That's so bad.
Good job.
Now tell me, for the remaining 27 years of this mortgage, what's my 7% interest owed on this new principal amount?
$8,530 or a year.
Okay, what is that monthly?
$710 a month.
Holy fuck.
Plus,
I'm never buying
How much is a cardboard box?
I'm gonna live in my
It's
parents'
right
basement.
You can steal them from
okay, so wait a minute. This is not so bad. Your payment is only what it would have been if you bought the 30-year. But wait a minute, she couldn't afford the 30-year. And we know that between 2005, when we said we're buying this fictional house, and 2008, 2009, median wages did not increase. They did not keep up with inflation. So all of your other expenses were increasing. Your median wage was not. And, oh, wait a minute. Housing prices fell 30%. So you owe, in 2008, when your mortgage bumps up to the 7%, you owe $121,000 on that house. What's 70% of $130,000?
$91,000.
How much?
$91,000.
So now your house is only worth that much, but you owe way more.
Your home is worth $91,000, but you owe $122,000. You are what is called
Yeah.
upside down on your house, or you are underwater. Meaning the house is worth less on the open market than you owe on it. In California, the difference wasn't $30,000, the difference was $300,000. People would simply pack up their belongings and leave.
No.
The bank has as collateral what?
The house.
The house. But now the bank laid out the $123,500. And they're gonna put this house on the market and try and sell it for $90,000. But guess what every other bank in town is doing? Trying to sell their house for $90,000, which further then it produces what's called a glut when there's way too much supply in the market. And that further depresses housing prices. So now banks are in big, big trouble. Now lots of people stayed when their houses were underwater. We were underwater. We just got out from underwater. We were underwater. Yeah, because we refied in about 2006. And we refied in a fixed. We were not at the limit, but we needed that money to make some improvements to the house. We needed a new furnace and air conditioner. We needed new gutters. We did not have that money in savings. So we refied. And then housing market. We were underwater.
How do you know, like, how do people decide if they should just, like, wait it out or, like, give up?
A lot of folks, if you were $300,000 underwater in your house and one of the wage earners in the family lost the job, we're out of here. We have to move for somebody to get employment, we're just gone.
Wait, so they stopped making payments, which ruins their credit.
But for 7 years. Housing prices are just now coming back to where they were. And it's been a decade. My credit would have recovered.
So if you had a lot of money and you could easily afford the $90,000 house.
You'd go and buy it and hold it and so use it as a rental property in the intermediary, and then you would sell it when the market recovered.
So say you didn't have the money, could you have got a low interest mortgage because the banks were
No,
desperate?
because here's the other thing that happened. Banks got burned. They got burned badly. And so they're not going to give marginal loans anymore to that, should we give them the loan, should we not? LaFond in 2009 is never going to even be offered this instrument. She's never going to be offered that mortgage instrument because they got a little smart. Now, what you're talking about happening in the Big Short is where these banks issue the mortgage, but they don't often hold the mortgage. You're not making the payment to the same bank that sold you, that gave you the mortgage. They sell these mortgages to mortgage companies that hold them and just specialize in collecting the money, sending out the statements, paying the escrow accounts, all of that kind of stuff. That's all they do, is they deal with that. Well, what they did is they bought up these mortgages. These are called subprime mortgages. Prime means what? You buy prime rib. Best. It's the optimal. It's the ideal. Okay?
Subprime.
LaFond, in a $123,000 mortgage, subprime. Okay? Young, single income, hourly job, low income. It's rough. We introduce a child into this equation, and she's at risk of default. Okay? Because that $500 gets eaten up real quickly by some medical bills, by some diapers, and some formula. Okay? So anybody who was considered subprime, those mortgages are worth less. They sell for a lower value. So what they did was they bundled those together, and you could, in the stock market, buy shares of the mortgages. Now, if you think mortgages are going to default, you don't want to own them. You're not going to get a return on your investment. So you do what's called selling short. When you sell short in the stock market, you are betting against increases in price. You're betting that that stock goes to zero. That's awesome. If you sell short a $100 stock, you can make $100 if it goes to zero. If you buy a $100 stock, you can lose $100, or you can make an infinite amount of money. Go to 1,000. If you sell short a $100 stock and it goes to 200, you have lost $100. So your loss potential is infinite. Your gain potential is finite. Zero is your maximum. think about the ethics. Companies are in business to profit. You buy shares in companies assuming that they are going to profit. But there are companies purposefully purchasing up instruments at extraordinary risk of default and putting those on the market for sale. The smart people did the math, and they were bundling these by regions of the country, so you could do the math. Where are the greatest housing defaults? Where are the market prices going lowest? And you would buy those up and you would short them. People made a lot of money, and what they were doing was they were making a lot of money betting against the welfare of the population of the country and our economic system as a whole. That's why there's a lot of anger. Here's the other thing. The banks who made the subprime loans, who knowingly made risky loans, lost billions of dollars. Have you ever seen a movie called Too Big to Fail? It is about the bailout that the Treasury system did for some of the large investment banks in New York City. They were called too big to fail, meaning if we let them go down, they are the bankers for other banks and for other investment firms. And if they fail, they were afraid it could take the country down. So the federal government was in a situation where they had to give money to these investment banks to try and fix our entire financial system, because the investment banks were losing money hand over fist in the housing market. So when it came to loans for anything, they went and wouldn't let go of anything. General Electric, guys, one of the Dow Industrial 30, operates through loans. They make their payroll monthly by borrowing money to pay their employees against the expected returns on the goods and services that they provide. When General Electric said to the Secretary of the Treasury, "We won't make payroll Friday because they aren't loaning us money." If General Electric couldn't pay its hundreds of thousands of employees, then they weren't going to make their mortgage payments, or buy their groceries, or make their car payments, or go out to the movies, or out to dinner, or pay for their kids' t-shirts, or school uniforms, or college tuition. And if GE wasn't paying its employees, one of the most stable, historic companies in the country, what does that do to the confidence for everybody else? What does that do to investors who might be looking to put money into the stock market? Can you see how this looked like a gigantic whirlpool of despair? The federal government gave billions of dollars to the New York investment banks. They said, "You're going to pay us back. This is a loan. You're going to pay us back. You're going to pay us back with interest." And one of the criteria was you have to start loosening credit. You have to start lending money again. Small businesses stagnated. Nobody could get a loan for anything. Some of the financial companies played the game and they went along. Some didn't. Some failed before everything was said and done. Personal finance lesson number 1. When you go to buy a home and you are offered an adjustable rate mortgage or an ARM, you have one word for that banker: no. This is the Hoax Dare program. Just say no to ARMs. Okay?
Wait,
I don't care if you're living in a van down by the river or a cardboard box under the bridge. An ARM is not going to solve your problems. It will make them better for a while and then a whole lot worse.
Wait,
Say no.
what's the other one called? One.
Fixed rate.
Allow yourself on
So ARM is the one that goes like,
It jumps up to the mortgage rate just adjusts, adjustable rate.
Yeah.
but then I thought you said like you're making more money later, but it doesn't pay it off as much, is that right?
What if you aren't making more money? Bird in the hand, chickens before they're hatched and all that. And what was the promise the banker gave you? That's right, we'll just refinance before that jumps up.
But they don't.
By that time, your house was worth less. They weren't gonna refinance that house.
This sounds like a big scam. So what if you bought it? I'm not ready for this.
What if you bought a house in 2008? In 2008, to buy that same house, the 5% down wasn't gonna fly. 10% down might get them talking to you. 20% down became the norm. You had to have 20% of 91,000. You had to have almost $20,000 in the bank because you also have to pay closing costs. There's a lot of costs associated that you have to just shell out cash when you buy a house.
So do you pay the?
So, if you had $20,000 in your pocket, that was a great time to buy a house. It was an amazing time to buy a house. You probably have a great amount of equity in your house right now. Come home and ask me.
It would be like we also moved after that. For like the new house tax, we moved here in 2000.
It's a good discussion to have. These are lessons you really need to learn, and they're lessons that a lot of folks don't learn until they're out there trying to buy their first house. By the way, guys, when you are making the decision, can I handle that mortgage payment? Can I handle that mortgage payment? Remember, that is just the P&I and the taxes and insurance. There's more to owning a home than just that. You need to be putting about 5% of the value of the home into savings every year to pay for the maintenance of the home, for that new furnace, air conditioner, roof, etc. Because sure, you've got insurance, but guess what? Insurance comes with what? A deductible. You need to pay that deductible, and you need to be able to pay that deductible every year. And guess what insurance doesn't cover? There's a clever commercial out there right now. Covers zombie apocalypse and a lava explosion. Doesn't cover regular maintenance. Your water heater goes out, floods the basement. Not only do you have to buy a new water heater and pay the plumber to install it, you're going to have to replace the carpet, maybe some of the drywall, got other costs, right? A roof leak, big costs, right? You need to be covering that. Guess what else goes with home ownership? Regular weekly maintenance of the home. You have to mow the house, mow the lawn. Mow the house. You have to mow the lawn, which means you have to have a lawnmower and put gas into it and maintain it yearly and get the blade sharpened and change the spark plugs, etc. You're probably going to have to own a hose and a sprinkler and a shovel. Right? You're going to have to wash the windows, paint the house. And if you don't want to do that stuff, then what do you have to do?
Live in my parents' basement.
Pay somebody else to do it, which is more expensive.
Save your entire property.
So, then you say, all right, I'll just live in an apartment. I don't have any of those expenses. Okay. With an apartment, you are paying the landlord's mortgage payments, plus the landlord's maintenance costs, etc. And you're getting the heavy foot walkers upstairs and the onion cookers next door and the screaming baby on the other side. Right? All of your life, hope lesson number 2, all of your life you will pay a mortgage. The question is, will it be your mortgage or your landlord's mortgage? Will you be paying for an asset for yourself, or will you be paying for an asset for someone else? Long-held belief says, better to enrich yourself. So just say no to arms and think good and hard about whose mortgage mortgage you wanna pay. We'll stop here for today, I've given you a lot to think about.
Yeah, I'm pretty stressed out now.
I'll pay you.
Cause I just bought a car and it's just.
Yeah. Guys, remember,